would just say, I don't know. And you know, the lawyers, private lawyers from serious companies would stand and say, our client, you know, the state is playing. The court has been with the NDDP. You know, Advocate Mzinyati is busy with the case. We don't know anything. At some stage, photos of the you know, of the bruises and everything, they said they don't have them. But luckily, because I'm not stupid and I'm not a fool to be taken for a ride, I had copies, I had stuff. I put my things, and not just in one thing, because I know how he operates. I mean, he could steal my phone, he could do whatever. You know, my mom was almost kidnapped. They stole his phone because he was sending money to her. And, you know, obviously just to confuse the justice system and all that, you know. So I made sure that, you know, but now I'm here at the end of the day and I'm saying, you know, please help me out. Really, I'm crying out because justice system has failed us. It has failed us. My IO is not even talking. He saw me at court. He looked the other way. I tried to say, hi, I'm here. And he just looked and he continued walking. And I said, what is happening? I even thought, maybe let me go to 702, you know, Media 24, whatever, you know, Metro. But I am determined and I'm here to get justice. And I am saying today, my case, it was struck off the roll, but I want it back. I want it back. I don't care how. I don't know how long it takes. And I want it back. I want to stand and look at the magistrate and say my truth. Because really, you know, we cannot afford to let these criminals, because they have money, they can afford lawyers, they can do whatever to take us for a ride. And can you imagine? I wrote to the minister. I wrote to the public prosecution. I wrote, the only answer I had was a woman from Cape Town. A woman from Cape Town who said, okay, I can refer you, speak to these people. Up until today, nothing was done with my case. He's walking scot-free. He was laughing at me on the last day when the court, you know, was struck off the roll. And I had to stand after all these things and watch him walk away. How many of them are doing this? How many women are being killed? I mean, how many, for how long? I'm even fearing for my life. But I am saying, if I die today, or if I get arrested, it will be for a good cause. I'm not even scared. I'm not going back. But my case must be brought to book, and I must stand, and I must speak my truth.
You know, I know for Rale Matata Nako, but if Ilerona, who can afford a person our ears, you know, just to be able to tell your story is a healing act. You get healed and you get more powerful than before. I can guarantee you that May is feeling more powerful. That is why when she knew she was speaking to you and that she had an ear, you could hear her voice going high. She started very low, but you could hear her going up and up and up and up because her confidence was building and building and building. Kalebuha ma actioners. Kalebuha. That is what we are here to do. Let me allow the next speaker, who's also a victim of false accusations. Kore yo kamakala. Baba editseng ba khonotsa, baba sa etsang ba accuse yo. Kore ka sa understand hore go iragalang. Ke di mengel musifela. Kore ke ba ebitsang gona le that thing ya gore ke Nyova Dam. Ke Nyova Dam. Ndate Mongameli Shabalala. He's open to being seen. And I think that organization, not in my name, I think he's one of the men who really needs the opportunity to tell his story. Not the Mogameli.
Sanbonani. My name is Mongameli Goodman Shabalala. I'm a nurse by profession, and I was very happy, Mr. Mashaba, President, this morning when I saw some of the familiar faces I used to serve in this community. I worked for Bronco Spruit Clinic, and I saw Bronco Spruit is present. Thank you so much for offering me this opportunity to be on this podium. In 2019, I was falsely accused of raping my niece, who was 4 years old at that time. I was 32 years old. I was accused of this crime by the father of the child, who is my sister's ex-boyfriend. I was subsequently arrested by Detective Sibeko at Pretoria Glen, and I was charged with rape. And I was then sent to Sun City, Johannesburg prison to go and await trial. Those of you who know ukuthi kwenziwani kubo baba or kubantwana babafana aba-accuswa nge-rape ejail, kwenzekile kimi. I was attacked and gang raped by my cellmates. It was a terrible experience. I'm now a 39-year-old man, and sometimes mangizwa istory ezifana nalesi esiqeda ukukhulunywa umama, ngiyaswaba ukuba umuntu ubaba. The unfortunate part is that our justice system has been commercialized. People who have money to commit crimes and walk free, they are able to do that because we have people who are like Umama Shamila Batohi, who refuse to see the wrong that is being done in front of their eyes and correct it, because of if they do that, they will be compromising their positions in government. The National Prosecuting Authority is supposed to be a body that protects both victims and make sure that the perpetrators receive a proper correctional program or a proper sentence. But the National Prosecuting Authority is failing to do that. I was kept in prison for a period of 112 days. My case was attended by two presiding officers, two magistrates at Pretoria North Magistrate Court, Magistrate Mtimkulu no Magistrate Thais. Both magistrates who have access to all the information that they can get to check or to test if the evidence that is brought to court is proper or fabricated. I was kept in prison for 112 days. On the 24th of July 2019, I was released. I was not sure why am I being released. When I asked why am I being released, they said it's because of the state has insufficient evidence. The state did not have evidence against me. My niece was never raped. 8 days after I came out of prison, I took my niece to a general practitioner, explained the situation to him, and then they referred us to a district surgeon. My niece was examined and she was never raped. Now, I asked, the J88 that was presented in court and the rape kit that was said, it was sent to NHLS, the National Health Laboratory Services, for DNA profiling and comparison. Where did they take it? It was of another child, a real victim that was raped, and then her documents, her file, her forensic evidence was then brought to my court case to be used against me. When I write a letter to Honorable Shamila Batohi to say, please assist in this regard, I've been to the National Prosecutions Authority to try and get assistance. The senior public prosecutor at Pretoria North is failing to assist me in this regard. They are all turning back. I've never received even one response from her. She's not in touch with us in the community, on the ground. So the justice system is not designed, our current justice system is not designed to work or favor the victims of violence or the victims of gender-based violence. I know of people who have committed crime, people who have raped, but who would walk out free because of they are able to pay a prosecutor or smuggle money through their lawyers to go and pay a prosecutor and a magistrate to make the case to disappear. This is my 6th year. I've been unemployed. I can't get employment because of my name is still flagged as a person who is under investigation for rape of a minor. It's very sad. It's very sad. Chairperson, I hope that the Action SA can have a way of assisting in this regard. It is sad because of the current ruling party, and now it's no longer a ruling party, it's a group of ruling parties that they are not prepared to do something about gender-based violence. Women are going to continue being victims, and the perpetrators are going to continue walking free because of the perpetrators are able to give ishunu, they're able to give cold drink to a prosecutor, and the prosecutor is able to pass on the part of ishunu to a magistrate, then the case gets lost.
Colleagues, it's hard to facilitate a program like this, and I hope that you will bear with us. Cases like these, the next speaker is Athol Trollip. Utatu Athol Trollip, he's our caucus leader in Parliament. He was in meetings speaking to this issue, NPA, in Parliament. Now, cases like these, stories like these, human stories, need to reach Parliament, need to be debated, because Parliament, later get broadcast. Everything that happens in those committee meetings, if you give yourself the time and you select the one you want to watch, you can see it. I need another Athol Trollip to really talk to what is it that we are doing as Action SA in Parliament, as a party, and also his experiences with the shocking track record of the NDPP herself and the NPA altogether. Athol Trollip.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Andizobamte. This government under Cyril Ramaphosa declared a war on corruption and crime. The NPA is supposed to be the front line of that war against corruption and crime. They haven't fired one shot. In fact, it's more like a Cold War. When I listen to these victims tell their story, I'm more inspired now than ever to do whatever we can, and I'm proud of my party, Action SA, for facilitating this picket here today, outside of the Department of Justice. I'm proud of Action SA because we took action. I want to tell you a little bit about the NPA. When you interact with the NPA and the National Director of Public Prosecutions, they will always tell you a plausible story about how well they're doing, how difficult it is to do their job. This week, the NPA appeared before the Justice Portfolio Committee, and the NDPP said she's doing a good job. Do you think she's doing a good job when you listen to these victims? No. Yesterday, she appeared before SCOPA. She said she's doing a good job. I'm going to tell you about some of the jobs they're doing. This same NDPP told the Minister of Justice, who's not here today, something more important to do. She said that the prosecuting authority has been infiltrated by crooked prosecutors. And then she withdrew that statement. I wonder why she withdrew that statement. Obviously, it's infiltrated with crooked prosecutors, because it was 9 years of state capture. Nobody was prosecuted. It's been 7 years since state capture. Nobody prosecuted. She asked for the suspension of Andrew Chauke, the Provincial Director of Public Prosecutions here in this province, 3 years ago. No action. Bayabadelela aba bantu bebexelela ba kunzima kangakanani apha xa uya enkundleni. The NPP's disconnect was so apparent in the Charlotta extradition case. A journalist asked her, what is happening with the Charlotta extradition from the United States? The lady that's involved in the Ace Makashule scam. She said, I don't know. Ask the provincial director of public prosecutions in the Free State. Shamila Batohi appeared bemused when the pastor Omotoso, after 8 years, was released. His case was struck off the roll because the prosecutors botched the case. The first prosecutors were kicked off by the NPA, and you know what happened? They were reassigned to go and prosecute the Fort Hare corruption scam, where supply chain management has been taken over by a university mafia, and people have been assassinated. So they take a prosecutor off of one case, and they take them to a more important case. The NPA and the Shamila Batohi are always saying, no, we're reviewing it. We're reviewing their performance, but we never see any remedial action. Nobody is held to account. No prosecutors have been prosecuted. That's where we need to go. If the prosecutors are being bought, they need to be prosecuted, but nobody gets prosecuted. We hear about inappropriate appointments of prosecutors. Ba-appointwang ban. Ba-appointwang nguye. Kodwa uyokhale eParliamente uthi hayi prosecution appointments as correct. Imagine having people like Menzi Simelane and Nom Gobo Jiba sitting on a panel to appoint asset forfeit unit members that don't forfeit assets. But the eyes for many 9 billions assets, as bonus are billions. The NDPP, is she aloof? Is she disengaged, disconnected, or deliberate, or is she captive? That's why we say we want those questions answered. We want her suspended, and we want a deep dive investigation into the NPA. We don't want them to fire her now, because she'll go to court and she'll contest being fired for the next 6 months until she retires, and then, yo God, we want her investigated, and we want the NPA investigated now. You know, the problem with the prosecutions and the prosecutors, many of them are not trained, many of them are not skilled. Skilled lawyers and skilled advocates run rings around them in the court. And the worst thing, Mr. Mashaba, when you do get some tall poppies in the NPA that are passionate about prosecution, they get worked out of the NPA. Paya kusalana, paya. With the Charlotta case, Ms. Charlotta was extradited from the United States 2 months after a court judgment against Mr. Schultz about his prosecution. It was done incorrectly. The court ruled that the Minister of Justice must call for an extradition. What did the NPA do? They went to the United States, got an extradition without the authority of the minister. When she went to court, the court chucked it out. Why did they do that? That's why the questions arise. Do they do this by design or by mistake? I listened to this lady's terrible testimony about gender violence. The NPA doesn't take on NPO-driven gender-based violence cases. They don't take on complicated cases. They'd rather settle. We've seen settlements where there is 15-year sentence for commercial crimes, 15-year imprisonment, wholly suspended. You don't know. Ugwetywe 15 years. Kodwa bathi goduka akuzohlala. Kodwa ugwetyiwe. Into not. We need a competent, capable NPP in light of this corruption curse upon us in South Africa. Now I'm going to conclude, and I'm going to say, I was phoned this morning by the Minister's office to say she's at a cabinet committee meeting. I didn't expect her to be here. We wrote to her nearly 2 weeks ago. She responded today. Where's the deputy minister? What is the deputy minister doing if he can't come and collect a petition on your behalf, on their behalf? Why have deputy ministers? Deputy ministers. I want to conclude by saying, I wanted to ask the minister today, did she command Batohi to withdraw her statement about prosecutors infiltrating the NPA? Because why would you make a statement like that and then withdraw it? But never mind, Action SA will do everything in our power to ensure that there is an investigation. And you know, fortunately, there are other organizations, there are other political parties that are supporting that request. The Center for Development Enterprises is also calling for an investigation. Asizohlala phansi silale ingaqhubekanga lo investigation, mabaphandwe aba bantu.
Thank you so much, Dr. Trolip. You know, I forgot to tell you something. I think it's very important for Rebe balanced. And I really commend Mr. Mongameli as a man to come and say it's not easy. There was a gentleman on 702 this morning who had to speak as an anonymous, who was molested by his aunt, Anali Urlanakena, grade king, excited grade king, standard 4. Standard 4 king in the grade, kids. He was molested by his aunt, Ari. Ke nyokobeditswe ke motho ke mo tshepang ke mama ka kana rakgadi or mamane ke mama gago. And he's speaking about it. He says he's 44 years old today. Ke gona ditlhakana gore ne go tsagalang. A re rona re le bontate motho tla re ha o mlella ba re ha maro popile mos o go file mahala. Why re na le that kind of a behavior? Gore monna because ena a khone go icontrola o ka ra ba khone go icontrola bana di feelings a se tsona ba gaetso. We need to be balanced. There are men who are suffering because of a culture that does not allow them to speak up. That's why ba feletsa bana le anger tse re sa di itseng le motho ga ile gore le motho o positive o montle mo setšhabeng o feleletsa a etsa dilo tse seng goreng they never plan to do because of the anger tse ba nang le tsone. Tse di etsang ke rona nagana mamane ke dilo tse tshwantseng re di fetole tseo ka ao mantswe ke kopa go phagamisa moetapele wa rona motho e leng gore re tlhakantse a retsa re be batala re be green yana, the one who made us green, the one who decided for I am not going to sit and enjoy my life and go and play golf because I can. He decided that I have not done enough. I need to do more. And I'm going to challenge this system. I'm going to challenge the parties that are there. I'm going to challenge the lifestyle that my people continue to live, even though I live a better life. I think it was Madiba who said, if one of us is not free, all of us are not free. And Ndate Mashaba is one of those people who said, if my people are not free, I am not free. And as a result of that, I am going to stand up. I'm going to put together a group of South Africans who agree with me. We created this Green Party called Action SA. And today, we are gathered here in the city of Tshwane as people who are trying to turn this city around so that we can have a better city, a better capital city, to demonstrate for Rakhona. And Ndate Mashaba is saying, enough is enough. And a little ramo supporter. For enough is enough. Katabata di GBV. Baira di commission li di eng tse di sa feleng. Ha re sa batla di commission ba golo. Re batla go bona action. And today we are here to say justice. Yaka this department, in justice, Department of Justice. We are here to demand that justice. With those few words, please welcome the President of Action SA, Date Hemen Mashaba Kalebo. Abamazio.
Dumelang fellow South Africans, Dumelang batho ba Gauteng, Dumelang actioners. I hope you can bear with me. I have a prepared speech, but listening to our fellow South Africans' life that they went through, I've decided to deviate from that and actually speak from my heart. And I'd like to apologize to my wife because normally when she sees me on national television, ever since I got into politics, she would ask me, says, "My dear, why are you so angry? Now tell me, after listening to the stories, and many more, thousands more, do you expect me to laugh about it? Do you expect me to be happy about it? I'm not in politics. I'm not in politics because I'm happy. I'm in politics because I'm angry. And I want South Africans to know that I'm angry, immensely angry. You know, the last few minutes listening to these stories, starting from the Lily mine, as you can see. Lily mine. Our fellow South Africans went down a mine just over 9 years ago. Innocent South Africans, Pritin Kambule, Yvonne Munisi and Solomon Jirenya, left home, going to work. Just after 8 o'clock, they disappeared. 9 years later, this government, including the NPA, are refusing to prosecute those responsible because a public inquiry was done, an inquest was done. They have actually discovered that that container did not collapse because it was an accident. Mine management and the owners of this mine received 2 reports from mine experts to inform them and warn them about their irresponsible mining. But today, we just carry on as South Africans as if things are normal. But to make matters worse, the family, seeing that this mine was continuing, decided, you know what, let us go and retrieve this container ourselves. After our own government, government of the ANC with management, said to South Africans, said to us South Africans, that container cannot be retrieved. It took me and my colleagues in Action SA to expose their lies, that they lied to the families, that the container cannot be retrieved. We have spent over 4 million rands in legal costs. The National Prosecuting Authority is in contempt of a court order after the inquest. A court judgment delivered in October 2023. We are now going for 2 years. They are refusing to prosecute. And I'm listening to our sister here. Cases of gender-based violence. Cases of murder. We're a murder capital of the world. Our own president went to the United States a few months ago to go and expose us that here in South Africa, we don't only kill farmers, we kill everybody. You remember that? Now you can imagine the impact of this. Now if you're an American or you're Australian or a British, can you come and visit this country on holiday? In a country where the president in front of the international media, he says, no, this misinformation peddled that South Africa is committing crime. The president took his own group